And joining us now is The Guardian's Washington bureau chief, David Smith. David, has there been any official comment yet from the White House?
Not as yet. Joe Biden is having a long weekend at his home in Delaware because today, Monday, is a sort of public holiday in the US. Some people are off for Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day. Biden will be traveling back to the White House, and we may hear from him, as we sometimes have on past occasions like this. He'll stop and talk to reporters, and on occasions like that, he's used phrases like war criminal to describe Vladimir Putin. We did get a tweeted statement from the State Department, which said, our hearts are with the people of Ukraine on this awful day, Slava Ukraini. And we may hear more from Antony Blinken, the Secretary of State. He, of course, is among senior US officials who have been to Kyiv in recent months, more than once. The First Lady, Jill Biden, has also been there. So I think this is a wake-up call, a reminder that Kyiv can still be attacked, is still vulnerable. That will be watched very closely in Washington as another sign of escalation in this war. And of course, we've seen continued US support, at least financially, last week another $625 million in military aid announced. Also last week, Joe Biden and the Vice President Kamala Harris spoke to President Zelensky by phone, but we wait to see what the direct response will be to this latest escalation. Certainly, the White House has been fairly guarded in talking about the attack on the bridge and who might have been responsible for that.
Well, David, the White House seemed to walk back those comments that President Biden made last week about warning of nuclear Armageddon. So what exactly is the official line from the White House now on that question?
That is a very good question. I mean, John Kirby of the National Security Council has been doing some interviews, sort of walking it back, certainly saying that there is no new intelligence to suggest that a nuclear attack is imminent, no signs of activity on the ground in Russia of that nature. But at the same time, arguing that President Biden was merely emphasizing how high the stakes are in this situation. And there's also been criticism of Biden. Mike Pompeo, the former Secretary of State, yesterday described that Armageddon comment as reckless. Biden made it at a fundraising event away from the cameras. He does tend to cut loose a bit more when he's there. He said it was the most serious security situation, the greatest threat of Armageddon since the Cuban Missile Crisis, which has its 60th anniversary this month. It does seem to have been Biden just riffing, as he tends to do, rather than speaking about new intelligence. And we've witnessed that with Joe Biden before, particularly on the Taiwan question vis-a-vis China. But I think he will certainly face new questions today about what is the US response. Alexander Vindman, a former White House National Security Council official, today saying that the US could do more with air defense systems, for example, and we may see more pressure on that. But a significant US shift in policy probably still unlikely at this stage.
Okay, The Guardian's Washington bureau chief, David Smith. David, thanks as always.